Hello and welcome to this session. This is Professor Farhat, in which we will discuss the innocent spouse relief. Now, what's the big idea here? The big idea is this. When a couple file married filing jointly, when they file together, they create what's called joint and several liability. What does that mean? It means it doesn't matter who made the money or who committed the fraud, who made the error. Both individuals are equally liable. So this innocent spouse relief is there to alleviate, to break the joint and several liability. But what's the problem? The problem is joint and several liability could be a trap to one of the spouses. What's the risk? The risk is you sign a joint return, and that makes you 100% liable for all the tax, interest, and penalties, even if your spouse earned the money or committed the fraud or filed the return in error. You are as responsible as the other individual. As far as the IRS, it ignores any divorce degree. They treat you as the same individual, and they can seize your assets even if a family court order your ex to pay. It doesn't really matter at this point. So because of that, there's a solution. And the solution is relief through a form called 8857. Now, when I said there's a solution, it doesn't mean the solution will be granted or easily granted. Those are the rare exceptions. But it allows the IRS to absolve you of the tax debt when it's unfair to hold you responsible for the spouse's error. It could be fraud, it could be an error, whatever that issue happens to be. Now, there are three routes to the relief. You can claim the innocent spouse relief, you can claim separation of liability, or you can claim, which we're going to talk about each one of them separately, equitable relief. So the key is to get out of the liability one way or another. This is what we will discuss in this session. Let's go ahead and get started. Before we proceed any further, I have a public announcement about my company, farhatlectures.com. You are here because you are serious about mastering taxation. Whether you are taking a tax course, studying for the CPA exam, or enrolled agent, tax feels overwhelming, not because it's impossible, but because it's dense, detailed, and often taught at a pace that doesn't match the way you learn. The rules can feel disconnected, and the logic isn't always explained clearly. At Farhat Lectures, we slow it down. We explain the why behind the rules, break concept into simple steps, and rebuild your understanding from the ground up without assuming any prior knowledge. When explanation matches your learning, everything changes. The confusion fades, the rules start to connect, and tax becomes manageable. If you are ready to understand tax with clarity and confidence, start your free trial at farhatlectures.com, and let's build your tax foundation together. Let's take a look at the first route, the innocent spouse relief. What does it mean? As the name suggests, you really did not know what's going on. It's used when the specific tax problem is due to erroneous items, like either they reported more deductions, this is usually the case, or they underreported their taxable income. So this is the error. But the other spouse committed the error. Maybe they won some gambling and they did not let you know about, or there were some fake deduction. Now, to qualify under this innocent spouse relief, you have to show that you were truly not aware of what's going on. You were clueless, and you have to show it. You have to prove it. So the tax return was filed incorrectly and showing too many deductions or not all taxable income reported. Your defense as the other spouse is you must prove that you did not know or have reason to know about the error when you signed the return. So what you did is you signed the return without knowing or have a reason to know. Now, what does it mean, have a reason to know? Let's assume your spouse was making $60,000 a year and driving a Ferrari. The judge, anyone will tell you, well, you should have reason to know that you cannot afford to drive a Ferrari on a $60,000 salary. So, and what you have to do is this. Generally, you must request relief within 2 years of the first IRS collection attempt. So once they come after you, you are responsible for this, whatever the balances for whatever reason, whether they took too many deductions or they did not report order income, you have 2 years to get debt relief. Let's take a look at an example to illustrate this concept. So the key concept here is you did not know about the income or the deduction or the fake deduction, and you had no reason to know. Therefore, you should not pay the tax based on that. So let's take a look at Chloe and Miles' divorce. The history is something like goes like this. They filed a joint return in 2022 and they divorced in early 2024. Here comes the shock. In 2025, Chloe received an IRS notice demanding tax on a $40,000 of unreported capital gains from that joint year. Remember, in 2022, they filed together. The fact, Miles was trading cryptocurrency in a private digital wallet that Chloe had no access to. And as a result, they had $40,000 in unreported capital gain. Those are the facts. And Chloe had zero knowledge of the trading profit when she signed the return. Now, how would she have to prove that? She'll have to say, I had no access to that. I was not aware of it. And most likely, Miles was transferring the money to a separate bank account. So you have to show you really did not know or had reason to know that he was trading. The outcome, you would file 8857, request for the innocent spouse relief, because the error, omitted income, belongs entirely to Miles, and Chloe was genuinely innocent, unaware the IRS might grant the relief. So Miles remained the only person liable for the debt. Once again, those are not something that happen on a regular basis, get accepted. Those are the exceptions. Just want to make sure you're aware of that. Route 2 is separation of liability. This is what's called the divorce allocation. If you are already divorced, separated, you can ask the IRS to simply split the bill based on who actually earned the income. So here basically, it's say, okay, let's split the bill. Who qualify for this? Again, you must be divorced here, legally separated or widowed for that matter, or they have another condition, have lived apart from your spouse for at least 12 months, which is approximately a year. What you do is you agree, you pay for your own mess and I pay for mine. That's basically what you're doing. How it works, the IRS analyzes the unpaid tax bill and allocate it. So basically the IRS said, okay, we're going to do that. We're going to analyze the bill and see who's responsible for what. So if the tax that is due to your ex-husband's business, the IRS assigned that portion of the debt to him. You're only responsible, for example, for the taxes on your own wages. So you were working, he was running his own business. This is how it works. Now, you have to be careful. You have to be careful here. There's a critical distinction. You cannot be complicit in this. If you knew about the error, you cannot ask for the split. So simply put, you cannot go with it when your husband file erroneous tax return, and when the bill comes in, I'm not responsible, I'll split the bill. If you had a reason, if you knew about it, then you can no longer ask for the separation of liabilities. You are responsible. Now, there is an exception, and that exception is called the duress exception. Even if you knew about the error, which usually disqualify you, you can still claim relief if you signed the return under duress. What does it mean under duress? Fear of retaliation or abuse. Here what we're looking at is domestic violence. You have to show it. You have maybe to show police report. Your lawyer will have to testify. Maybe family members will have to testify to show that. So let's take a look at an example. Leo and Maya were married and filed a joint return for 2022. The income reported, they reported their standard W-2 wages. Leo earned $55,000 and Maya earned $60,000. The couple legally divorced in 2024 and they currently live in different states with no financial ties. Here comes the audit. The IRS audited their 2022 return and discovered that Leo sold significant amount of cryptocurrency that year, resulting in a $35,000 unreported capital gain. Well, the IRS will send the bill for back taxes on that amount plus interest and penalties. So what is the defense here? Well, if Leo did this work and Maya was not aware of it, Maya proved that the crypto wallet was solely in Leo's name and she never had the private keys or password. So what she asked for now is for separation of liability because they're already divorced and separated, rather than the innocent spouse. She argues that since the item, the crypto gain, belongs entirely to Leo, the tax liability associated with it should belong entirely to him. Now, if she was enjoying the benefit of the cryptocurrency trades, then she can no longer claim that. So the outcome is the IRS grant relief. They allocate the tax due based on who earned the income. Since Maya paid all the taxes on her W-2 wages, the new debt regarding the crypto is assigned 100% to Leo, and Maya is no longer liable for the debt. So that's the second route, separation of liability. Once again, you cannot be aware of what happened. Otherwise, you are responsible. You can no longer claim that. And separation of liability, you have to be divorced, separated, or widowed to qualify for it, or lived apart for 12. The third route is the equitable relief. It's what's called the fairness rule. What is the core concept here? This is a safety net for the spouses who did not fit the strict rule of the first two options, but they are still being treated unfairly. So when to use it? You can use it when you don't qualify for the innocent spouse, where you did not know or had no reason to know, or you don't qualify for the separation of liability relief. Basically, it's a catch-all. If you don't qualify under the first two, you will go under this. Now, here's what you need to know. There's a unique power into this. There's the underpayment rule here. What's the underpayment? Unlike the other two, which mostly handle errors or understatement, equitable relief can help when the tax was reported correctly but simply never paid. So under the equitable relief, you could have a proper tax return, but the bill was never paid. Then you can use this route 3. Example would be your spouse filed a correct return showing a $2,000 due $5,000, but took the money and gambled it away instead of paying the IRS. You knew about the tax, so you are not innocent. You cannot claim that, but it would be unfair to make you pay it. Now, is there a time limit? Absolutely. You generally have 10 years for unpaid taxes to request the relief for under this route, or if you are getting a refund, you're asking for a refund. If you paid the tax and want it back, there's only usually 2 to 3 years apply. It's shorter deadline. Choice question from farhatlectures.com. Elena and Marcus filed a joint return. Fair enough. Marcus claimed fraudulent business losses to lower their tax bill. Okay. Elena reviewed the return, noticed the error. She noticed the error, so now she knows, given her actual knowledge of what's going on, and questioned Marcus. Marcus responded with violence and threat, forcing Elena to sign the return immediately. Years later, the IRS audited the return. Normally, actual knowledge disqualifies a spouse from relief because she knew about it. Why is Elena likely to be granted equitable relief in this specific situation? Let's take a look at the options. She's likely to be granted relief because she was not the spouse who earned the income associated with the business losses. Would that relieve her? Basically because she was not the person that was running the business. She was not associated with the business loss. And the answer is no. Remember, they filed together. As far as the law, they're the same person. B, she's disqualified from the relief unless she can prove that she immediately reported the fraud to the IRS after signing. She doesn't have to do that. There's a privileged husband and wife, so no, you're not a person that report information to the IRS. That's not your job, especially as a spouse. C, she's disqualified from relief because actual knowledge of a tax error is a permanent bar to equitable relief regardless of the circumstances. C saying once you know, that's it, you can no longer get relief. Actually, there is an exception. Let's look at D. She's likely to be granted because she signed the return under duress and fear of retaliation, which is an exception to the actual knowledge rule. Now, there are many other exceptions, not exceptions. The IRS would look at each case separately and make a judgment under the equitable relief. But in this situation, since it's under duress and fear of retaliation, now she's going to have to prove that. Elena will have to prove that. And as long as she proves that, most likely D is the correct answer. The IRS will provide the relief. What should you do now? Whether you are a CPA exam candidate, enrolled agent, accounting student, go to Farhat Lectures, look at additional resources, multiple choice, true, false, use the AI to explain the topic for you, to explain correct and incorrect answer, create similar MCQs. The best investment you can make is invest in yourself. Good luck and God bless.